This is Eric Rutan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew McKay Smith.
G'day everybody, welcome to the show. This is one of those episodes that is a very good reason why I love doing what it is that I do on Scars and Guitars, because it features a chat with the great Matt Pike from Sleep and High on Fire, and also High on Fire's bassist Jeff Matz. Now, the catalyst for our chat this time around is due to the launch of a new album from High on Fire. It is called Cometh the Storm. It is the group's 9th. We talk all about the album, go into some of the lyrical themes that have been influenced by the COVID-19 pandemic, the social unrest that has been going on around the world, left-wing authoritarian overreach. Yes, it is all here. Gotta love it. Yes, of course, I talk about sleep as well. Just a wonderful deep dive into aspects of High on Fire and also Sleep with one of the great modern rock and metal musicians, Matt Pike, and can't forget Jeff Matz as well, who's very active in the scene and been a member of a number of bands such as Zeke as well. So you'll hear toward the end there the conversation. We only had half an hour, and as you can imagine, I could have spoken for hours with the duo, but nevertheless, it was a very solid half-hour conversation. So here they are. You'll hear from Jeff first, and Matt joins us in a few minutes' time. Let's go.
Hello, Andrew.
G'day, mate. How are you going?
Doing all right. A little bit sick today. I just came home from a tour with Mutoid Man, and I picked up a little something. So just trying to rest up here.
Yeah, you know you've been on tour when you come back with something foreign, some foreign illness.
Some kind of, little buddies.
Yeah. How was it, a North American tour, or did you go abroad?
Yeah, it was just like 7 shows on the East Coast. Yeah, so it was just it was nice. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
You're pretty busy at the moment then, I take it, are you?
Extremely busy. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Doing the Mutoid Man thing, it's, we don't practice or tour a lot. It's kind of, everybody's in multiple bands in that project. But definitely with the new High on Fire coming out, we've been doing a lot of press. I'm also a music teacher. I teach online lessons like 3 days a week.
Yes.
And I do a lot of the business stuff for the band as well. So it keeps me on my toes.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the teaching aspect of it, because I am aware, of course, that you teach, and no doubt you got students from across the world. So was that something that started during COVID and you just continued it?
My first student approached me just prior to COVID, and he was a fellow up in Canada that was interested in learning some like High on Fire and Zeke songs, and just like kind of picking my brain about technique. And I'd never thought about giving lessons before, really, but I was like, yeah, why not? Let's give it a shot. So we, did the Skype thing, and just kind of like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here, but I'm just going to start throwing stuff at you. And it was just a lot of fun. It ended up being really cool. And once the pandemic happened, it became pretty clear that I needed to figure out some way to make money. So I figured, what the hell, I'm just going to put myself out there. And I just put up a little blurb on social media. It got a really amazing response. So I started doing it then, and just sort of been, going ever since. It's been just a really cool kind of side gig. Get to meet a lot of really, really cool folks, and it keeps me learning things and progressing musically, and constantly keeps a fire lit under my behind.
Yeah, gotcha.
So it's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
Well, you all do a lot in the band. I was when I say meet, is probably 10, 15 meters away from Cody on Sunday night, because he's playing in Melbourne's, and they just played.
Yeah.
So is it? I always figured that, especially being a Grammy award-winning band like you are, that's the question. I'll start with that question. Did you notice there was a big bump in regards to requests from agents and new territories opening up after the Grammy win?
You know, it wasn't really that apparent, you know, because a lot happened shortly after we won the Grammy. You know, our original drummer obviously left the band, so that was a huge. That kind of stopped us in our tracks for a little bit. And we started doing shows with you know, another drummer fairly shortly after that. We did just very minimal touring after we won the Grammy, and then the pandemic happened. So it was really, you know, any sort of perceived growth that would have happened as a result of that, it was, you know, I don't know, we kind of got sideswiped by that whole situation. But I mean, in terms of, hey,
mate.
Hey, what's up?
Cool. But yeah, it's not like we've, you know, I think winning a Grammy, it definitely opened some people's eyes to the band that wouldn't have normally known about us before, but it's not like we're, you know, our guarantees just like shot up drastically or anything like that. And it certainly hasn't changed the way that we write or record or anything like that.
Yeah, you've just got a really cool award on the mantelpiece, both of you, I suppose. Is that the main change?
Yeah,
I would say so. Yeah, exactly. It's definitely an interesting conversation piece.
It illuminated my heart.
Yep, that's cool. Yeah.
Hearth illumination.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting as an old school metal and rock fan. You're one of our bands, and to see you guys win an award, it kind of puts our culture imposing on theirs, if you know what I'm saying, because I always considered the Grammys a pack of psychopaths and weirdos, to be honest with you. But you guys are up there representing us.
It's in the heart of Hollywood, you know, and Hollyweird is weird. And,
yeah.
Honestly, I didn't think we stood a snowball's chance in hell. which you can kind of tell by the fact that we were all seated at the very back of the hall.
Yeah, like 2 football fields away from the stage, and I had I had a foot injury at the time and a cane, and we're like a mile away. I'm like, let me see if I can run in this boot.
Hey, did you have that situation there where some people who were fairly famous or well known, they came up to you afterwards and said, "Hey, I've always loved the band," or did they even do that worst thing where they tried to pretend to be friends with you?
I didn't experience that personally. No. It was a very interesting evening, you know, just like attending the whole ceremonies and just seeing kind of what goes on behind the scenes and the crazy after parties and everything. It was just a surreal day. The whole thing, that whole period of time was it was bizarre. It was cool.
Yeah,
I mean, you know,
it was very interesting, like seeing how that whole thing worked, you know, and
yeah, it's just one of those moments in time, isn't it? Just you have to. I watched it. I remember watching it not long after you won that award, and I was talking to Phil Anselmo about something similar when that Lords of Chaos film came out, and I went to watch that movie at a big cinema complex, and it was our culture imposing on the mainstream, and your moment in the sun was a bit like that.
Well, if it makes money, they have to pay attention. or if it has potential. I mean, that's what Hollywood is like, even if you're at a party or something, you're talking to someone and there's even relatively business mention, there's like a guy right there trying to take a percentage before you even got to your next word, you know. I've had that happen in Hollywood a lot, but
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the win, you know, a lot of our friends have, you know, said something, you know, similar things like, we kind of viewed that as like sort of a win for the underground when you guys got the award. So, I mean, Yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't think that bands like High on Fire could win Grammys. I just didn't think it was part of the program. But wow.
And again, no one thought Jethro Tull could beat Metallica for metal.
Yeah,
Jethro Tull is so much more metal than Metallica. Yeah.
No.
Exactly. Yeah. So, with all that in mind, though, Cometh the Storm. So, to me, as an old fan, it just continues a stellar run of form across all of your albums. Actually, there's been no duds in and amongst the mix whatsoever. But did it place any pressure whatsoever for the follow up after winning the Grammy?
No, I mean that wasn't anything that we were going to compare the album to. And when we go into like making a new album, I think we all go in there pretty open-minded and just have just work really hard at it and let the album kind of do itself, It just comes from working at it and practicing and practicing together and, brainstorming and, you start putting a puzzle together more so than it's like this album's going to be like that and we're doing it because of a Grammy Award. No, it's not like that at all.
Yeah, definitely. It, that wasn't really a consideration when we set out to work on this album. But, we're always kind of trying to push what we do. You're always just trying to do the best version of what you do and make it interesting and, add some unexpected twists and, just basically just make it as good as you can make it.
Yeah, it's like, what would I want to hear?
Always been the attitude.
It's like that question, exactly. What would I want to hear? And then let's do that.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah. Hey, well, look, since the launch of the last album, we've been through a hell of a lot in the Western Hemisphere, collectively speaking. So there's been the COVID lunacy. We've got another United States presidential campaign coming up, but of course we went through that about the same time as the COVID lunacy. And then you had God knows how many riots have happened in the name of progressive causes, but there's been a bunch of them. But the point is,
it's just like the Bolsheviks all over again. You kill the farmers that feed you. It's like, I don't know. The world's gone mad. And we're right there with it, so.
Has that inspired you, though, Matt? Has that given you a lot of fodder for lyrics?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I mean, I was just telling the last guy, Burning Down is pretty much about the World Economic Forum and in the one world government they want to force through financial destruction and the destruction of any sort of unity of people, divide and conquer thing. And it's happening and they're good at it. Check it out. Just turn on the news. If there even is news is bullshit. All of it's fucking dumb bullshit. BS. So I tried to, a lot of it's my opinions about the world and the other guys, The hypocrisy in people who want to, signal righteousness upon themselves. And it's just hypocritical. That's a hell of a thing to sing about. And I do.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. When we last caught up, Matt, you were mentioning that you were starting to think about some of these ideas and how they can influence your lyrical themes as well. So it sounds like that was at the time of your solo album, Pike versus the Automaton.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and that was really experimental. I didn't know what I was going to do on that. I just kind of went with the flow. Same thing. I just let things write. And, I had my friend John, who drums in that band. We just had a different aspect and we're locked in. So there's lots of inside jokes about putting glue in your mask and just a lot of fun. Tried to make light of a bad situation.
Yeah, I hear you. Were there any songs that made Cometh the Storm that were not so much left over, but you started working on it about the time you were doing the solo stuff?
No, I had a bunch of stuff separated. I had some of the cream of the crop stuff. Me and Jeff had it set aside for when we could start really working and finding a drummer and that sort of thing. So we went through, about a year and a half of just trying to find the right drummer. And it wasn't easy to have people feel good about flying, feel good about coming to have practice with you and audition and that. And I don't know. It was a weird time for the whole planet. I'd never been on Earth when they shut the whole world down over paranoia,
Yeah.
I think beyond that too, the biggest thing was just finding the right drummer to fit into the equation. We had a couple of buddies of ours playing with us, for in the interim after Des left, and they both did amazing jobs. Once we started jamming with Cody, that's when the ideas really started flowing. The majority of the material on the new album was sort of written, once we started playing with Cody. There were a few carryovers from before, just some riffs and some sets of riffs that we had, but a lot of it was written, with Cody.
With Cody, it's like we have a riff vault. It's like we have a lot of old riffs that we'll just remake, we'll retry them again and start over. Even though the idea is there, we just expand on the idea that's already there. It's already recorded, and then it becomes a new thing. With Cody, it was very easy to work with that. Just taking it because he's a different drummer too. So if we recorded it with a different drummer, it'd turn out completely different with Cody,
Yeah. Darker Fleece is a good example of that. That was one of the few that we had kicking around since before Cody entered the fold. And he just put his own take on it and took it to a whole other place. That piece turned out awesome.
Yeah. It's not like a pre-write. It's like what happened with an idea from before, So.
Yeah. But a lot of it too, we had a lot of faster ideas in the vault, and playing with Cody, a lot of how the music came together was sort of just kind of feeding off of his energy and sort of his, bouncing ideas off of him. And then the way that he reacts to the riffs that we throw out there, that's a big part of how those songs sort of take shape,
Yeah. He's a very heavy hitter. I was
Yeah. I was just saying that earlier. I was like, for that he's not a very big dude, and he hits he's 6'6" and 350 pounds, man. That guy hits hard.
Yeah. It really suits you guys. It certainly suited Melvin's, but it bloody well suits you guys because you guys are a harder hitting band than Melvin's. So, hey, but there was a track I was curious about, Soul's Golden Curse. Is there a story behind that one that's unique?
Well, that's the first one. I went to LA and we had that riff in the riff vault. This is one of those things, Jeff and I had that riff from before, and I was going through, he made me MP3s of all the weird demo practices and the ideas that we wrote down. And I heard a version of that riff, and then I was like, oh man, I need something to work on with Cody. For the first time I flew to LA and started working on new stuff with Cody and just trying to feel him out and write some new stuff. And that's the first thing I wrote, pretty much with Cody and me putting our heads together. And and that's based on some esoteric stuff about the Sethians and Abraxas and
cool.
some legends that it's just mythos from the past, kind of a occulty shit. But I love that song. That song hits hard.
Yeah, it was one of the standouts, certainly. I've only had it for, I think I got it last night at about 9 p.m. It's now almost 6 o'clock in the morning, so I've listened to it a couple of times in that period of time. But there's some songs that stand out. That was one, Yeah,
well, like I said, we kind of wrote that, and then when we showed up and jammed with Jeff, we put the actual song together as a whole. I just made a demo of singing ideas and a couple riffs together, and then as we put it back together, there's a few things on it that were that stood out in that song that we tried to recreate, the endings all blown out, and it was a fun song to do.
Ah, killer. And did you guys work with Kurt again on this album?
Yep.
We did.
Yeah, good team, great team. What specifically does Kurt bring to the table, apart from the fact that it fucking sounds amazing? What is it that he brings that really expands and builds on the process that you guys already have?
Well, he's very creative and hands-on with us, like he's an actual producer. So, I mean, he kind of keeps us in check, so I don't sing something dumb or something doesn't make sense, or he'll have an idea like, what if this, so he's like a fourth ear to like what we're thinking. And it's always good to have that objective in mind when someone else is looking from an outside view. So he really plays a big part in the way that we put things together on a record and how it's ultimately done.
Yeah, he had a lot of really great input with different arrangement ideas, sort of like paring down the fat on certain things. And, just as far as just the sound of the band, we've been working together so long now, he's got it pretty dialed in. He understands what we want to hear, how we want to be represented sonically. And he just keeps getting better and better at his job. I think this is the most powerful sounding High on Fire album that we've done with him to date.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I think so too. Just as far as the tones and the way the notes hit, and there was a lot of attention to the details of like just strictly tone and the drum sound, and his secret sauce kind of is his studio too. That studio, he's figured out a way of miking that place where it's like so dynamic, and he's just gotten better, like Jeff said. Yeah, I like God City a lot. That's a killer place.
Oh, cool. Yeah, whereabouts is that?
In Salem, Massachusetts.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, yeah, as an Aussie, whenever I think of Salem, I think of the bloody witch trials, but I'm sure the place is a lot more than that.
That's actually Peabody, but Salem takes credit for it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, apparently they burned them all in Danvers, according to one local.
Danvers, that's right.
Oh, gosh. It's not even there. Gotcha. Hey, is it I love the fact that you've recorded in a place with such a notorious history as well, or nearby, or what have you. But something else, I reckon, before you get into straight up full-on metal sounds, you guys have got the most thick, roughest, rawest, densest sound around, okay? So capturing that sound must be a hell of a task, but I suppose you guys have got it down to a fine art at the moment. Is that the case?
Well, I would say so.
I think we have a lot of experience with tones and amps and guitars and different ways of placing mics, but a lot of that comes out of his studio, and a lot of it is like our live. He's just trying to capture what we do live, or have that sort of big sound. When he records us.
Definitely. It's, he's trying to represent the band, basically like kind of take the essence of the band and what we sound like live and just give the best and biggest representation of that is kind of the vibe. But I mean, so much of it is just like the way that we play, the way, just sort of, I don't know, I think that's a huge part of it. Just the composition of the songs, the performance aspect, the way that we play together. But yeah, I think, Kurt just really, I think, kind of makes us sound like the best version of ourselves possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I listening, you guys are one of those bands that are tailor-made for vinyl. And I love the fact that you got plenty of it out there. So it's almost listening to it on a CD in the car, or even way less in terms of the quality. MP3 in the car, it's there, but then you compare the experience of vinyl, and it's almost like a live experience with you guys. So you've managed to capture that really well.
Well, that's good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
What about covers? You've done some bloody sterling covers in the past, and by far my favourite Celtic Frost cover is by you guys, Into the Crypt of Ray. So did you record any others at this time, and have you got any others up your sleeve?
Not at the moment, but we've done a lot of covers. And I think Jeff and I really get off on doing covers too, because we can put our own sound into it. I think High on Fire is a good band to do covers, because I don't know, we get away with a lot more than some people would.
Absolutely. I'm sure there'll be more in the future. What we got. Yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah.
The Thin Lizzy one we did, that was so much fun to work on. It's crazy.
Well, you guys are the perfect band to cover them as far as I'm concerned. It's you've got the lineage. There's no doubt. Have you guys met Scotty Gorham at all?
No. Never had a chance to meet him.
Kindred spirits, I reckon.
Certainly one of my favorite guitarists.
I'd like to think so.
Hey Matt, for you, were you part of the Third Man Records when they did the re-releasing of Dopesmoker a couple of years ago? Did you have a heavy hand in that?
Well, to a degree, I mean, as much as anybody else in Sleep. A lot of that's Al's brainchild. So Al thinks of a lot of crazy like merch ideas, packages, and I think the two Bens and the people at Third Man always have really good ideas for packaging, and the fact that they can press vinyl like right there, and during COVID they didn't have to like wait for anybody; they could just press their own vinyl like whenever. So what they're capable of is kind of amazing as a label. I think that's one of the best labels in the world because of that. They just have great ideas, and if you bounce something off them, they can make it happen. Like Jack White shot Sagan into space, an album with they do all sorts of crazy shit. So I really like Third Man and being on them.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Well, what's your thoughts now, Matt, about the Sciences? It's been 5 years, if you can believe it. I know it took almost 20 years well, maybe not 20 years, it was 15 years, I think it was, for an album to be released after was it your third album or fourth album there in the early 2000s? But look, the Sciences, the point is the Sciences, it's as good a comeback an album as any, but do you feel it's as strong as the earlier seminal work?
I don't think it got as much attention for some weird reason, but I think the work itself is quality for Sleep. So, I like did my part, and it's some of my favorite guitar stuff I did for Sleep up to that date. Is what it is. It's either out there and it sells a lot or it doesn't. And I liked the art that went into it and the amount of time we put into it. So, I'll leave it at that.
How do you decide what to bring to Al and what you decide to work on with Jeff?
Well, that's pretty easy. Like Sleep and High on Fire are apples and oranges. Like I don't know. They separate themselves, and usually I base a lot of my guitar work off Al's very drony bass playing. So I'll just try to pick up and detail what Al starts with, or if I write something for the band, it's a completely different writing style, like completely different.
Yeah. I suppose as a fan, we sit there and think, well, how do you choose these things? But from your perspective, it's probably very obvious right from the outset.
Yeah, I separate them like apples and oranges.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, gents, you've hopefully been getting this feedback, but look, we'd love to see you down here sometime in the near future. Is that a possibility?
Oh, we'd love to come back. We're far overdue. Another friend down there was just asking, like, when was the last time you were here? And I was like, when was that? I want to say 2016.
Yeah,
2016 maybe. 2016. So yeah, we're way
I think
overdue.
That's the last time like even Sleep was there. It was like so long ago for any of us that have traveled there, it's crazy.
Yeah,
I'd like to go again.
Hoping we can make it down. Yeah, maybe next year if the stars align, we can make it happen.
Yeah. Have you got like a long schedule planned, North America, Europe? Because I know they're the main markets. So is that pretty much what the next 12 months, 18 months looks like?
Yeah, we got a U.S. tour starting up in the early May, a couple of weeks, and then shortly after that, we pop over to Europe and do like a month-long tour there. I'm going to stay over there. I'm going back to Turkey again for a bit, and then High on Fire plays a festival in Portugal on August 10th, and then we got more U.S. stuff planned for the fall, and I'm sure other things will pop up as well, but it's shaping up to be a busy year for us.
Yeah, maybe we should try that, considering wintertime is summertime down there. Maybe we go to Australia for Christmas.
Yeah, you're welcome to. Yeah, the only thing is I'm in Queensland, so it's been bloody hot here. I went to 70,000 tons of metal, which is in Miami. It leaves from Port of Miami, as you probably know, and about half the temperature. I was really, really surprised, actually. Miami sold as a really hot place, and it wasn't. so not compared to here anyway, but the bloody humidity is the thing, and I do this quite a bit, so I've been talking to some of the musicians, especially when they're on tour, and there can't be enough air conditioning on stage some nights. It's just the heat. It's ridiculous at the moment, but yeah, you get that. But yeah, that's great, gents. Yeah, and look, one thing I've got to say to both of you, I'm really grateful that musicians are starting to talk about the authoritarian overreach that occurred throughout COVID, because there was a period of time. Yeah,
I felt bad for you guys, man. I talked to a couple Australians when I was doing the Pike versus Automaton interviews, and like, man, everybody I talked to from Australia was like depressed and, stuck. And I was just like, are you okay, man? Do you want to do this later or something? There's a couple people who are real depressed. And I was like, Jesus, man, what are you guys trying to do? Break people?
Yeah. Well, you and I, Matt, did speak about it. And, I'm firmly on record as kicking against the authoritarian pricks on that front, and I just can't believe how complicit and how these people have been simping for the hard left like they have been. And really, it's a mental illness manifest.
Yeah, it's like a corporate anarchist. But like, what is that? It's weird.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they have all mass media on their side and all of the social media platforms as well, and it's like Johnny Rotten said it best. At any other point in history, how on earth would the conservative right become almost the anarcho front against all of this authoritarian overreach? How the hell did we get to that point?
No, they switched sides, man. It's like Republicans were, and then they switched sides with the left, and then it's like, I don't want to be on anybody's side. I just want to think for myself, and everybody can fuck off. Like, really.
Yeah. Hey guys, sorry to cut it off, but we're late for the next interview, so we got to pop off here.
Sorry, I got a clock. All right, Jeff, I'll see you on the next one.
All right.
See you, Andrew.
Thanks. Until the next one.
Good talking to you, Andrew.
Likewise,
all right,
brothers.
Cheers, man.
Catch up.
All right, take care, man. Bye-bye.
Fucking awesome. I bet you I'm going to get demonetized. Goddamn YouTube. Oh well. I don't really give a shit, to be honest with you. I mean, for the $20 or $30 that Google might pay me per month, because that's literally what it is, that I do the show, there's no way in the world I'd pay that much, probably 10 times over, just to continue having these conversations. Probably shouldn't say that, because next thing I'll get a bill from the psychopaths, but yeah, fuck them. We've got to speak up, ladies and gentlemen. You've got to be prepared to tell the truth. Matt Pike, an absolute legend, a living example. Musicians, we're at the front line of this shit, especially in a year where we have a United States presidential election. Wish we had more time. Anyway. Okay, that's it. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and I'm the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast. Until the next one, it's a very goodbye for now.